Just had one of the firefighters, did Chief ask you to talk about this MOU?
No, sir.
You did not?
The only thing he told me was that it would just be during the day. They wouldn't be spending the night.
Okay. All right.
And would that be right along fire and ambulance? Or do you know?
Emergency calls,
I can ask him.
yeah.
Not
it's
that
on
it
the ambulance.
matters, I was just curious.
Yeah, from what I gathered, it was just on the ambulance. It wasn't for a fire call.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have a full-time hire of Nolan Ryan Wiggins as a certified firefighter at $17.54 an hour at the fire department. Then we also have the promotion of Andrew Hanks to corporal at the police department. And he will go from $17.54 an hour to $18.09. Are those
Yes.
steps all correct? Okay. And then we're looking at the promotion of Ronnie Pugh to sergeant at the Monroeville Police Department from $19.64 an hour to $20.04 per hour. That's correct. Is this all because of vacancies?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then I got Michael here that we had talked with, who was it? That was Mr. Ship. Who was going to go to proceed with putting out the RFP for bid for the building and the pavilion.
Yeah,
And,
hopefully he can get it out this week. It'll be advertised in 3 pages.
But they also want contact folks too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's already got some, it's already showed interest in it.
Yeah, they advertise a lot of times, call them, look, there's a lot more in it.
I think that is one of the big issues. And real quick, Councilman Rubin, you have anything?
No.
Councilman
No.
McDaniel? Councilman Rocket?
Yes, I have an issue on South Street. Mr. Lester came out with me on last week and I want to see if you can help expound on it a little bit. They don't have, what is it called, Mr. Lester?
It's not a cover under that driveway, but we need to take the cover on up the road because we need to get that water to stay on that side of the road. The water's actually coming over the road and it's causing a safety issue. But now we normally don't furnish cover for driveway. But since this is a safety issue, we can actually put a cover in there
Okay.
to get the water across. I just need y'all's approval on that.
You gonna cut the street, go across?
No, sir, it'll be on the side, go down the side of the road. But what's happening, the road gets down there and it kind of flattens out
Okay.
and the water's coming across the road. We just need to get it covered in there and then dig a ditch on down.
To redirect the water.
Okay. Councilman Thomas? Councilman Fulton? Okay, department heads, Tim?
We need to just talk about that.
I just told them that, it had been damaged. And
Which-
that we need to go through and replace the door because of the damage caused to it. And
Which door is it on the back side or, okay.
Any idea who caused the damage? Yes, sir, we'll be filing charges against.
Michael?
If y'all know anybody that wants to work, send them my way.
They'll retire.
Yeah.
I do like,
He's great, he's got a big lawn, he can cut grass. Now, the starting state paid in that rate, but you're retired, so you can't make that money.
Chief Armstrong?
Rockwood, the manager there has left, said she was resigning because the company that, it was bought out by a company in New York, we know that much, so we're not familiar with what the company is or any contact, but over the last 3 months, since they removed security out of there, there's no gate working, and the cameras don't work. Cameras haven't worked in about a year probably. And we had recently had a murder there, or an assault there that ended up being a murder. They could have helped the case tremendously if the cameras. No cameras. We've got some street video, but some of the tenants from there have actually came to the police department asking where they pay the rent. And in the last 3 months, we've had over 40 something calls to Rockwood for fights, assaults, domestic violence, or something like that. It's that number of calls. That doesn't include this little here, there calls for trespassers and stuff like that.
Was anything the shots fired last time?
At Rockwood?
Yeah.
When you get over there, it's unfounded, nobody knows anything, nobody sees anything, and there's no cameras to hold anybody accountable.
Well, now, don't they buy a business license?
Supposed to.
Aren't they required to have security? Is that one of the requirements?
I think that when I talked with the mayor earlier, the city went into a contract with them and they were required to have a gate, and I know cameras, I don't know about the security part.
I think this was back in, I talked with Chip,
Eighties.
and, well,
He said.
what Chip had on file was 2002. In which he had sent a letter to the management of Rockwood, and they also sent one to HUD. And, you know, talking about what the issues were. And that's when they came back in and they put in the gates and, provided, security. And so it appears now that they're not in compliance. So the question was, in talking to Chipper, to go back and we initiate a letter of complaint for him to review and send to the new management company and to HUD. Now, seeing as we don't know the name of the new management company, if we get this letter done, I suggested to the chief that we send a certified letter to
The
prior
whole
owner.
company, we didn't, it's gone bankrupt, so it's no longer even.
There's no longer even there.
Well, maybe we need to get Chipper to use her statistics, let him write the letter.
I think
Yeah.
I think we have address with the business license, but it goes to Rockwood.
I mean, this is an emergency situation for the safety of the residents
Yeah.
there that needs to be addressed immediately.
Emergency situation for law enforcement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Chipper needs to write him a letter and use the statistics that the chief has and find somebody somewhere.
Well, that's why you send it to HUD. If HUD is still involved, then that means that this company that bought it will have to. I'm just supposing that,
would have probably more pressure on me.
right, they will have more pressure and they would know who it was. So we'll work on trying to get that accomplished. Chief, give you opportunity to go through and discuss that with you. Okay. Tree on Bigger Street, legal part-time. Okay, well, I think that's pretty much everything that I had to, be covered in the work session. And, so I guess we can prepare for the public hearing.
I got one question for Mr. Laster. The sweeper truck, is it still not operable or?
They're actually waiting on a new wiring harness.
All right, now we're paying rent for how long? 2 or 3 months? That thing's been in the
Yeah,
shop
we've been now for 3 months. And,
on the lease.
I found out, well, one guy told me the wiring harness, they had trouble out of it before. And I don't know, last time when they were down there, they didn't get a new wiring harness too. But, when we talked to them Friday, they said that they really didn't know when the wiring harness was coming. You know, they got it ordered, but they don't have it.
They're gonna extend the rental?
Well, I need to call, the salesman that we bought it from, because I called him the other week too. And told him, and I think he called, and he came up a little bit, but I called him back and.
Tell him he could give us a loan and, you know, till that one's ready.
She said that the ride along would be on the ambulance and on the fire truck since we respond to accidents with injuries and provide patient care.
All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, a couple of minutes.
You're saying go ahead. I thought you meant, yeah, it's time.
Okay.
They have to be on time. They right there, I would think.
Okay, the time being 4:50, I'd like to call to order the public hearing for the, February 7th, for the city of Monroeville, and we begin by the dedication.
Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, come before you tonight, in the city council meeting, we ask that you guide, our elected officials and guide our department heads as we make our city a great place to live and a fair place for all to live and look out for the welfare of our citizens. We ask that you continue to always bless us, help us, help our economy, and help our leaders always make decisions to move our city forward and have it be the kind of city that you would have it to be. We make our prayer in the name of Jesus, our Lord. Amen.
Pledge of allegiance, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the purpose of this. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider changing Mill Street from a one-way street to a two-way street. I believe that this was actually published in the paper and we're open for public comment.
Hi, my name is Sharon Barnes, and we have our property over there. So I would want the council to vote it back to being the two-way street. But we never, out of all the years I lived over there, we never, at one time had any accident, raised my kids, raised my nephew, had function at the church on the corner, which was AOH, I think, is something else now. I started teaching when I was 11 years old, so it's sort of like inconvenient whenever I come to try to chase a property, because you have to go all the way back around sometime to come back in, but it had never one time that I know of, out of 50-some years that wasn't an accident there. My son was, where at 4 or 5, he used to walk across the street and catch the bus, so he never, had to encounter nothing like that. And then Mr. Mills, he raised his wife's kids over there, and we rode back, so I was just voted that it rolled back to being a two-way at the time, because at the time, I don't think, as far as I know, that we wasn't notified in the beginning that anything was gonna be over there. When I found out it was in the newspaper, I mean, no certified letter or anything to my knowledge. So I think we should have been made aware anyway at the time, because at one point in time in that house there was a sex offender that was coming there, and we had to notify the police concerning it. So if that playground being put there now and he was still coming there, just for instance, then what? You get what I'm saying? Not to be arrogant or anything, but I think of a lot of the kids, because I used to be a youth director at 11 years old, so my heart is with kids at this point in my life, that the betterment. And I like the playground being there also too, but brought to my attention, a lot of the kids being turned away. They saying that if they're not a member, per se, I guess, or certain denomination, I'm hearing from a lot of parents also, hear talk, but I can't speak for them, but I just say hearsay, but personally, they have came and talked, so I told them that they had an open forum if they want to come tonight, so I'm here representing, cause the property that we have over there. And it's almost sit right in the street. So, I hope to, have it back to the people.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. There, any other comments?
Kendrick, you got any additional input because it's in your district?
Yeah, the first initial instance with, one of the residents was having issues with the mail. And, you know, I kind of agree with her and, you know, since the park is not being used per se every day, or I haven't really been seeing it being used at all. I would, you know, go along for getting it back to where it was, if that's what the people want.
How was that park represented when we first approved it and all? Was it, do you know, was
It's a private.
privately owned to be open when they want it open, or is that
It's
what
private.
they represented?
Privately owned.
And their concern was they're gonna have so much children traffic coming in, you know, and people coming off the other street, traveling down through there, that was gonna pose a, you know, safety risk. And so when we put sidewalks in, we actually provided, and I guess at some point we gotta go back and paint that crosswalk in now.
Yeah, let's do it for the Tuesday, yeah.
Right, and so, you know, you provide the sidewalk going across George Career to go down beside it and come into the entrance. And, but, you know, it,
I mean, what I'm getting at is, it was, in my memory, it was presented as a way to keep kids out of trouble,
Right.
give them something to do.
right,
If it's never open, then how are we accomplishing that? Is my
Exactly.
question.
that's what I'm
They're not
saying,
using it.
because of that, you don't have traffic.
Right, so,
That's
you
right.
know, my main thing was for the citizens that live there, that this is causing issues with mail or, you know, inconveniencing them. And it's not being used, so it's not posing a safety hazard. I don't really see the need to, you know. That's just my opinion, but, you know, I've heard from a lot of.
Sounds very logical what you say.
Okay. Any other comment? Okay.
It's somebody.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hello?
My name is Leslie, and I do have a petition signed by the community. We concur with a large amount of what you're saying. Here you go. The number one reason for a one-way street would be to help the pedestrians of the community to be able to cross the street. There's no reason for a one-way because there's no need to cross the street. To cross the street would be into private property. Therefore, a one-way was never needed on that street. Do you guys have any questions for me personally?
You're in favor of going back where the way it was.
We need it to go back to the two-way street. Perfect. Let me know if you need any additional questions answered. I'm always available.
How many signature on it?
It's 4 or 5 pages. and that's it.
It's 63. 63.
All right, there's no more questions. Do I have a motion to approve the request to
I'll make that
return to
motion.
the two-way street? Okay,
I second it.
then moving properly second, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Now, do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
So moved.
Have a second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor? All right.
Are you gonna let them go first? Or they can-
Yes, that's all.
I know, like, you started an hour, that's what I'll get you out of here. How much you get
I need a lot of barbecue.
You are crazy if you stay.
I need a lot of barbecue.
Okay, the time is now 5 p.m. And I would like to call the regular meeting of the city council of the city of Monroeville to order. Beginning with our agenda, the first item is the approval of the minutes. And for the work session is held on January 17, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. The public hearing is held on January 17, 2023 at 4:50 p.m. And the regular meeting is held on January 17, 2023 at 5 p.m. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay, I'd like to deviate from the agenda, shortly. We do have, Jackson and Thornton here to do a review of the 2021 audit for the city. I'd like to ask Mr. Nurse if he do the presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me this evening. You know, I'm gonna slide over here because I like to stand just briefly. Thanks for having me, just come and just say a word about the audit that we performed on the September 30th, 2021 statements. We issued an unqualified or clean opinion on the statements. So that is, I call that the gold standards. It's the goal that any of my clients set out to have a clean set of financial statements. So opinion on those statements. So what does that mean? That means that inside of the package that you can see sitting on the corner there of her desk, that package of financial records being your balance sheet, let's call it income statements, fund statements, that we believe those numbers are materially correct. So as the city council has other involved parties, management, consultants make decisions about the future and the finances of the city, this is a good basis to begin your numbers and your analysis. So again, this is for the September 30th, 2021 audit. I'm just going to share, since we do get very deep and involved in the numbers, as Tamika knows, our city clerk here, I'll go over a few high-level items. And just to give just a quick overview of the audit, it's a rigorous process. It involves us camping out in these chairs up here for maybe a couple of weeks. It involves things that happen before that week, after that week, emails, texts, interviews, reviewing memos, looking at vendor invoices, sending requests to federal agencies that give us money. All those things get poured together into our audit for us to make our opinion. You know, this year's audit was a challenge. You know, Tamika was new to the city as we began this process. And so, you know, we did not finish it as quickly as we thought we would, but we did ultimately issue the opinion in October of 2022. So yes, I'm a few months behind coming to visit you, but again, I'd like to give you just some high level fun facts. How about that? You know, the city, I would say, is well capitalized. You know, cash is king. Between ARPA funds that you had received through the end of September and a very good performance of revenue over expenditures, the cash was up over the prior year. It brings it to somewhere between cash and CDs around $6 million of somewhat liquid assets. When you look at what the city owns, there's certainly a lot of infrastructure, assets, buildings, whatnot. One area that happened, and this is probably the last time we've talked about it, but the M Block building was sold in 2021, and those proceeds, most of those proceeds were applied to its debt to almost extinguish it, with a plan to get that done in the next year or so. So that was something that was pulled off of the books in that liquidation. You know, one thing that I do like to point out, because when people come and work for you, they wonder, if I work for you and retire here, what will my pension look like? We offer one. The city of Monroeville does offer a pension, and it requires to be funded every year. And then there has an actuarial liability. And so we do look at how well funded it is, and is it in good shape? The state of Alabama has a wonderful pension plan and managed with Montgomery. Your pension plan yourself, your slice of it is 79% funded. Maybe to the casual observer, why isn't it 100% funded? Because it doesn't need to be. actuarial results and how they're applied can move it 10 to 20 percentage points, depending on actuarial analysis. I think that's a sweet spot, close to 80%. It's right where you need to be. So that you hear national news and other communities that don't manage that well, y'all have got that taken care of. So that is a good thing for the city. There was no new debt this year that some municipalities leveraged their sales tax revenues, their assets fairly heavily. You are not. So your debt as it relates to, your cash position, $2 million of long-term debt thereabouts, and I'm rounding numbers. So when you talk about, your favorable assets, little debt, good pension numbers, your fund balance or net position, what's left over, assets minus liabilities is very favorable. And of that pie, there's a good unrestricted portion. And when I say unrestricted, you do have assets that are restricted for things like capital improvement because the government gave you that money, or fixing roads, or fixing potholes, sewers. You've got a favorable unrestricted balance. That gives you a lot of flexibility to apply for grants and apply that match. So again, looking at the ability to do things and have flexibility here in town is a great thing. The thing, when I say fun facts, sometimes I like to rank your revenue and expenses. If you don't have it from the top of your mind where your money comes from, you don't understand. But when you're ranking your revenues, sales tax is king. So when you look at how much sales tax brought in, it was almost $5 million. Your second was business license at 753,000, and then ad valorem or property taxes come in third. So that is very typical for the state and other municipalities I work for. Now, when you rank your expenses, that's also where it gets interesting. And public works wins for you guys, 3.4 million of costs dedicated to that. Now, that does include some sanitation costs for which you recoup about $884,000 in charges. Public safety is, and we heard that talked about earlier, at almost $3 million is a very close second. And then the administration is third, very typical in the state. The last thing that I'll point out and maybe make some final comments is we do take your budget that you establish every year, and that's done in accordance with the state law. We look to see how well you perform the budget. And so when I look at an expected budgeted revenue of 7.2 million, so 7.2, you had a budget result of total revenues for the general fund of $9 million. So you did 8.7 or 8.8 million. So you had a positive budget variance on revenues by 1.5 million. So again, that was driven largely because of sales and use. Okay, sales and use budget variance was over 806,000. So sales and use has been very strong. The online sales tax that is coming through here, the state changed many years back, has been a godsend for communities like this that may not have the same retail establishments that are bigger town. So the online shopping has been great. Then on your expenditure side, we fell short. There was an overspend, but it's understandable. There was a CDBG program for the water and sewer that was more than had been budgeted, but it fell out this year. And then also the extra amount of principal applied because of the en bloc payout on that loan took that down, but it was not and so significant that it was extremely harmful to the city, and actually did take care of some very favorable things for the city. So in just in wrapping up, the city has a fairly complex operation here. Fire, police, all the things that go with a municipality. dealing with grants and, you know, the build out of waters, you know, not water and sewer, but sewer and infrastructure, sidewalks. So it makes it very complex and very different elements of the city. But my assessment on the financial position is that you are in a very good position to grow and then use those ARPA funds wisely as the government has deemed to entrust those funds with you guys. So the takeaway is that we're in good shape. So I would entertain any questions if anybody had any.
All right.
Sounds to be all right.
Send it to the barbecue shop.
Okay, we heard the auditor's report. Do I have a motion to accept that report?
So moved.
Okay. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on my agenda is a motion to approve changing Mill Street from a one-way street to a two-way street.
We just
We did that?
We did that.
Okay, all right,
That's
so
that's
this-
the public
well,
hearing.
that's in the public hearing, I'm sorry. We're looking at a lot of stuff. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the half-week favor at the community house for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Do I have a motion to approve the half-week waiver for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office?
Is the sheriff's office paying it? Is that who's going, okay, but not an individual.
No.
Okay. That's fine. No, I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the resignation of John Smith from the Monroeville Fire Department. Do I have a motion approving the resignation of John Smith?
So moved.
Okay,
That's second.
it's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Is that, do we need to sign this handwritten?
No, he, didn't fill out the blue form.
The blue
Would have been
form?
the one.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the resignation of Michael Gibson from the Monroeville Police Department. Do I have a motion approving the resignation of Michael Gibson?
Not so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda was listed as the approval of the Harrigan lumber abatement extension. And this was actually sent to the State Department of Commerce, and they're the ones that actually do this approval and taking care of it, so there's no action necessary by the council. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the emergency door repair at the Anchor Bay building. And I think the cost on that is Tim, was what, $3,600?
It's 27, 3,602 for the door and the lock stuff and the frame, metal. But we were awaiting a block price to repair the broken block. Is my intention tomorrow to talk to the people who are going to be preparing the block at the edge of the roof to see if they can give us a separate price to fix that block while they're there.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
I understand. Do we need to wait and do it all at one time, or?
It, I mean, I don't think the block bill is gonna be much. It's like a big block.
Didn't make a difference.
No, this is the price of the door, right? Okay, so this is the door.
Do I have a motion to approve the emergency repair of the door at the Hornady Anchor Bay building? Okay, do I have a second?
That's second.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the part-time hire of Leroy McPherson at $16.83 an hour at Public Works.
That's so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of JR's lawn and tree service for removal of a tree that is on Bigger Street, posing a hazard. What was the price, Michael?
2,000.
For $2,000.
Yeah, it's gonna be all day job. We're going to close the road down.
They are licensed and bonded,
Yeah.
insured and everything. I'll make a motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda. Paperwork. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of full-time hire of Nolan Ryan Wiggins as a certified firefighter at $17.54 per hour in Monroe Fire Department. Do I have a motion approving the hiring of Mr. Wiggins?
So move.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
That's like when he finished, firefighting school, did Billy learn something? Cause he hadn't been working in Orange Beach, but for just a few months. For the days.
I think it's been fairly recent. since we graduated.
The next item on the. Did we vote on? Yes.
Yeah, we
We
did.
did.
Ian made the motion and seconded.
All right, okay, wanted to make sure. All right, next item on the agenda is to approve of the promotion of Andrew Hanks to corporal at Monroe Police Department from $17.54 an hour to $18.09 per hour. Do I have a motion approving the promotion of Andrew Hanks?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Yeah, blue sheet and blue sheet. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the promotion of Rodney Pugh to
Mayor.
sergeant.
Mayor, you gotta do your all in favor.
Oh, all in favor?
Uh,
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the promotion of Rodney Pugh to sergeant at Monroe Police Department from $19.64 per hour to $20.04 per hour. Do I have a motion to approve the approval of Rodney Pugh to sergeant?
So,
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the next item that I have on the agenda is the approval of the MOU with nursing and allied health provided by Coastal Alabama Community College for a site agreement for the purpose of training EMT, attending the college for ride-alongs. Do I have a motion approving the MOU?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
That's it.
All in favor? Okay. All right. This time, that's all the items that I have. Councilman Fulton?
Who took the Widowmaker at the dam at the park? The power company. Okay, thank God.
Now I started going back around.
Cut it down, all I can do is now just fall over and block half the road right. Okay, there was discussion about, the sidewalk in front of old Kilpatrick Motor. He said he was gonna take care of that, if it worked out, what they gonna work out there?
Well, the retaining wall, they're waiting on the cable company to move their lines, so the telephone company can move those poles. And then it's gonna be a new retainer wall put back, it's gonna go back to the right of way, and then the sidewalk can go up to the left.
Okay, I just wanted them to stop, and they squared anything out.
We're waiting on the cable company, their contractor, I'm hoping to be in here next week.
He said he had it worked out, so. It didn't look like it was getting worked out, so.
The cable company and telephone company's been waiting on DOT to approve the permit.
Okay. It's,
That's the name.
Got names on.
It's a film down here, send it to him.
Yeah, me.
Not about steel years.
Oh, man, what?
Councilman Thomas? Councilman Ruff?
Yeah, it's just the issue that we talked about in the work session with, Salt Street. I don't know if we need to make a motion to see, agree to,
No, well, y'all need to approve it.
to approve it, yeah.
So do we need I entertain a motion to authorize the Department of Public Works to address the drainage issue on Salt Street. Okay,
I'll make a motion.
all right, in a second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Takes care of that.
Yes, sir.
Councilman McDaniel?
Jamaica, when are we gonna get the W-2 forms? Or have we can, They're not. oh, okay, we can pick them. Okay.
Councilman Tree?
Do we need a motion concerning the city sending a letter to Rockwood concerning addressing those issues?
I think it's already been. Like, actively doing it.
It probably wouldn't hurt to show that the council is in support of them addressing the issue to get something done.
Different writing the letter?
But see that in discussion I had with him, Chipper said that basically we need to go through and he was talking about a brief letter of complaint coming from the police department saying what the issue was and how many calls that he got and things of that nature. But if I did a motion, I would just come back and say to allow the city attorney and police chief to address the issue.
Yes,
And
yeah, I'll make that motion then for the city attorney and the police chief to address the issue concerning the apparent absence of any management here and the lack of security for our personnel and for the residents who live there and the neighbors surrounding it. Especially the gate not being there and the security guards not being there.
I'll second
The cameras as well.
Cameras, yes, as well. And we might go so far as to say the absence of cameras caused an investigation to not be completed, so.
So we've been properly moved in second to address the security issues at Rockwood with their management. Yeah, it's already been second. Any more discussion?
If I would say owner, it's not manager. Because there is no manager. Owner.
Okay,
Owners and or management firm, yeah, whoever's supposed to be running it. Good point.
all right, at this point, we need to amend the motion. So do I have a motion to amend the motion on the floor?
I'll make that motion to amend it to owners and or managers.
And I'll say. Okay, all in favor of amended motion? Okay, all in favor of the original motion? Okay.
Hopefully,
They hope so.
I was still on here and get it.
All right. Okay, that being the case, Ms. Bruton.
I hope everybody had a great time at Mardi Gras, and we're looking forward to next year.
I enjoy it.
All right, Mr. Lester.
Yes, I got a couple things on community house. First one, a while back, I had mentioned cameras. They hadn't sent me the quote yet, but I got them over to look, and we have blind spots. We don't have no camera this side down in the carriage room. We have the one in the courtyard out there. But we would need two in the carriage room and one, he said he believes he can cover the whole kitchen with one camera. Now the cameras are gonna run probably $400 a piece. If they haven't went up, you know, but now then the installation I read up, I'm waiting on him to give me a quote on it. And then the second thing, the floor in the ballroom, we're constantly having an outage, you know, it's been over several times, but the floor is steady buckling up. And I think what's done happen is that concrete on there is letting too much moisture through. And my opinion is, I think that floor needs to come up and that concrete sealed with some kind of sealer. And then put that floor back down or put a different type floor down. Because in the last, 2 or 3 months, you've been over there and put it down several times. And put the floor back down. And this time it was worse than the time before. It seems to be growing outward where it's coming up at. And it's getting further away from the fire department, you know, the fireplace, you know, but we capped that roof off of there. So it shouldn't be coming in the fire, but it's getting farther out into the room every time. So I think it's just the slab letting moisture come up through there. And I don't know, you know, talk to a professional floor man, but, I think it needs to be taken up and the actual concrete resealed, so it won't let moisture come through there.
You think he'll have a bid to you before the next council meeting?
I'm hoping it will. He was supposed to have it to me today.
Okay.
When I called him this morning, he was supposed to have it to me last week. So we talked 2 weeks ago. But now, do y'all want me to get some prices on that floor?
Then what other options? I mean, you start putting anything besides kind of what's down there, then you have damage and you can't replace it. I mean, it's only burns the spot or something like that. You put a little knowing or something like that.
Well, you would need to go back to some kind of tile type flooring. And it would need to be something that, you know, that the grout's not low in it. I would think, because, you know, ladies walking in our high heels and stuff. And to be honest, I think the wood floor, it needs to be a wood floor, but you know, it may want to go with some different type of wood floor.
And you're talking like how many $1,000?
Oh, you probably gonna be talking $30,000 or $40,000. By the time you tear that out and reseal that concrete, get that concrete back right. So, you know, the thing about it, concrete could be cracked, and that may be where the moisture comes.
And you just do that on a certain part of that?
Well, you know, you could go in there and pull it up where it's bulking up bad and just see, but now, the thing about it, I think we've done that before, took the
Yeah,
section out.
More over in that food serving room,
Yeah.
that part's been done, but yeah, we could do a section if we need to and see if that fixed it.
You
And
know,
put that
I
back
think that needs to be done now, because with all this rain and stuff we're getting, it seems like it's real bad, and you know, it settled down, but I noticed over today, you can kind of look at across there, and look like it's trying to raise back up.
And you said cameras, so we had any more follow up on the ones for town?
No, sir, we reached out to, state purchasing, and I'm trying to go back and give them something explaining what their process is, because they have different specific contracts, and they bid them at a certain time of the year. And, you know, like they have contracts that are for security systems, which encompasses all cameras. They have contracts for generators, they have contracts for all this other stuff. And so, that's the thing that I was trying to go through and ascertain. I do know who own the contracts. I asked them specifically to check to see if Monco was on that security system contract. And they were not on that security system contract. So I have not gone through to pursue anything further. I have inquired about the possibility of trying to retain a consultant that could go through and write bid specs for us. Two things with that. Difficulty in finding someone. I even reached out to a person in Mobile, and what he referred me back to were people who own state contracts. And the other thing is, once we find them, there's not money in the award to pay for consultants. So we would have to come up with funding to pay a consultant to actually come in and design and operate that system. To design the system and oversee the installation. So that's kind of where we stand. And I'm reaching out, researching, trying to find somebody.
On these security things, not some of these units are basically somebody at home or small business type thing that you can buy everything for $1,000 with 6 cameras, wireless.
Well, see, we already got a DVR and everything in there, and other cameras, so I just wanna add,
Okay.
Just add 3 more. I don't think it's gonna be 2,000. So, yeah, cause unless the cameras have really went up, cause I think the last time I had to replace one at the shop, those inside cameras were 350 or something like that. But now I don't know what the installation's gonna be, so.
When I put 6 cameras out there, we do it with DVR and everything for $1,000,000. But they're wired, they're not wireless.
Now these here be wired.
Yeah, they have to be, I'm not going down there almost would have to be. So I bought whatever they had.
Now, on the floor, how much do you think it would cost to actually take that up, do that? I don't,
If you're just doing that area, it's not gonna be a lot. I'll get your price together.
cause I didn't wanna eat the whole maintenance budget, if I do them on that, I'm back and ask y'all for one.
Take it on the sidewalk.
Steve Armstrong? Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. All right, there being no further business for the city council of the city of Monroeville, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn this February 7th meeting, Rome City Council.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
See you.
Yeah.